mirror of us.
Check. Oh, there we go. Yes.
That is cute. That's cool.
It is. It actually
Flying
to
sea turtle. That's sweet.
I could cast the screen. Nobody can see what we're seeing.
Yeah, you should.
Actually,
that's what
all
should
they're
be on
seeing
that
right
one.
now is the stupid bed of my computer. So
Wow.
let's go to. Let's turn on my. Which one will do in reality? Okay, now you can see us. So, great. This is great. Go live for any reason. We're already fucking going live.
Nice.
But they just changed my dashboard on me.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. That happens a lot.
Ready in 24 hours to activate your. What? No. Oh, am I in. Oh, I'm in the wrong account. Sorry. We're streaming, but we're not in my right account, so that's the problem. That is the
We're
problem.
streaming to this dead account, Adam?
No, we're actually live on my other account. I just can't see
Okay.
what the hell we're doing.
Alright, well.
Yeah. So if you're out there, bear with us for just a few minutes. We'll be on short.
Adam, very, very serious about this. Let's just
Dude,
make sure that everyone knows
You
that
gotta bring your game, brother.
that there are.
I mean, we could have upwards of like 1 or 2 people out there.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is an important first step. How many years have we talked about this shit, Ryan?
You're like, and you're fucking it up.
And it's come to this. Good job.
Of all your grand ideas, now it's down to
A
this.
drunken first shot at it. Alright, we are streaming live. Oh fuck, we've been streaming that whole time.
We should be drinking more.
Yeah,
That should be part of it.
We can. And I don't even have the title right. This is the episode 11. We are now in episode 11. We get this right. We'll call it the Crayon Conspiracy.
Hey, that's a great title. What genius could have thought up Crayon Conspiracy? Was that you or me?
We currently have 0 watching us.
That's good. I don't want 1 million people watching us right now where we fuck this up and they're idiots.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn it on, Adam.
Oh crap. 0.
That's good.
That's where we're at in the stream. There's a little bit of a delay on that.
And so that's just going to be, yeah. I don't think a good screen to have in the background is just us 3 seconds later.
It's gonna be sweet, dude. I'm telling you, this is the way that they do it.
This is how the kids are doing it nowadays.
Absolutely. Oh shit, we got one person watching. So welcome to our stream
that's
today.
us. I'm sure that's our.
Is it us? Oh, because I'm casting it over here. Fuck. It could be Heather. So if it's you, Heather,
Hey,
we're watching what we're
that would
doing.
be awesome.
But I don't know. I don't know how that's. All right. So what are we gonna do? How was your day today, Ryan?
It was great. Let's see. I went running, and I
You started your day with running?
I didn't actually. I went running with you at the end of the day,
Okay.
which was fun.
And so we typically run 5Ks every Wednesday.
No.
I do, mostly.
3K probably if I'm lucky. I
Do you not do the
get
bridge?
3K. I don't. Well, I definitely skip parts.
Okay. I didn't know
I'm just
that.
gonna. This is just me opening up right now as part of the show.
Fair enough.
I definitely skip parts.
Okay.
I definitely walk. I definitely sometimes even just like saunter. It's not even like a fast, like athletic walk.
Okay.
It's just like a.
So have you ran it completely ever?
It's been yes.
Okay.
When I was training for the Spartan race a couple of years ago, I was in at least enough shape to run it 100% beginning to end 5K. And that's about all I've never been a long distance runner. You, my friend, even social shuffle on the shirt right now.
Yeah, this is the original style. When I run, it's my escape. Because I'm a technology person. And no, this is an important thing because what can happen is you see runners, they got their iPod things, they got their headphones, they're always listening
Sure.
to like a device. And so I'm like constantly around devices all my life.
Right.
And like, so I've made it a complete effort that like I will take no technology. I guess the only thing I do is have a watch for like the GPS of my route, but it doesn't like talk to me or give me music or anything. So when I run, like that's the one time of the day I'm in my head. I don't have a phone because I leave it in somewhere else. Every rest of the time I'm constantly by it. So it's like this a way that I can be in the environment and just be focused on things. So the first mile, usually I'm like, what the shit am I running for? You're dumb. Why are you running? And then switches over and I start just getting in my head and forget about the body, and it's a good run.
The only way that I've ever gotten into any sort of rhythm with running, which I feel like rhythm is super important to runners, and I feel like that's something I just don't have. The only thing that I have done is like breathing exercise, or not even breathing exercises, but just being able to do repetitive breathing as I'm running and focus on that. And that's been like the only thing that can sort of like push me past wanting to stop. That's been the only thing.
That's probably bringing enough something to your muscles. There's
That's
probably
true.
some scientific reason.
I think it just helps me blank out the pain of what I'm doing.
Well, and then part of my thing is it does suck, I think, initially to run, and I'm a very completionist person, so I'm just like, the faster I run, the faster this thing's over with, and the faster
That's
I'm
true.
done. So
I have definitely been in the spot where I've been jogging like practically in place. I feel like people could be walking faster than I am, and I'm like, why am I putting that effort with so little payback? Because I'm not going forward very much. So I try to push myself at least so it feels like it's a running pace.
well, then you can tell we just ran tonight. So
Yeah.
then when we run, we usually go and negate any kind of things that we've ever done, because then we drink beer right after.
That's true.
running. So
I mean, yeah.
I guess in the spirit of keeping your heart rate up and,
Exactly.
and having things move through your body,
It's more inside than like weight.
Fair enough. So anyway, that's our night. Are we gonna do something?
So Adam Pocious, the 3D printing master of this channel, has his stuff set up, ready to go. Right? Would you say that it's basically ready to go?
Absolutely. I
And
think
he didn't even turn off his phone.
well, this is an alarm. I don't know what the fish that alarm is about.
Just some alarm that randomly played at 9:50.
It was purely. Oh wait, we should probably go to this camera.
Okay.
Let's see here. Yeah, that was terrible.
So when I was asking what we could print out on your 3D printer,
Yeah.
did anything spring to mind when I said that? Like something that we could both have something to do with and talk about during this stream?
Up to this point, I don't know. What you're seeing right now is our little bed as far as the printer is concerned. We're going to be doing some printing on that, but let's go back to our angle here. Nothing's really like sparked an interest. I've been really more into like the very functional items of printing.
Right.
So I've been appreciative of the engineering that goes behind that kind of thing.
You've explored what's the free 3D model site that you use?
Thingiverse, which is pretty popular amongst 3D printing people.
So you've browsed Thingiverse quite a bit, right?
Fair enough.
Wouldn't
yes,
you say?
I would say that.
What is the weirdest thing that you've seen on there?
That's a good question.
Because I'm sure there are plenty of functional things, and I'm sure that there are plenty of.
I saw a Tyrannosaurus Rex chicken. So
that's pretty good.
It was pretty creative.
Body Tyrannosaurus Rex head chicken, right?
Opposite.
Yeah. No.
Actually, now you think about it, do they have that? That would be a good point.
Especially scaled up so that it fit.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that's going to be the one.
So that was a pretty cool one. Chicken T-Rex.
Yeah.
How long do you think a chicken T-Rex would take to print?
That would take a little bit of time. The one problem is I did try to print it actually.
Really?
That was awesome. But the problem is that the model itself had a lot of overhangs and it really wasn't to the level of 3D printing I was hoping to do.
Because I imagine that's a lot of like because he has sort of legs back here and then an overhanging T-Rex body. So I could see that.
So
it doesn't just automate. Don't when they create the models for this, don't they know that it's going to need struts and supports to support it?
I mean, depending on the software you use, it can bring the supports out as needed. So I'm using Cura right now, and that's one of the software made by Ultimaker. But you only have a checkbox. You either turn your supports on or off, and there's a few things based off the overhang angles as to how much of the supports that are going to be there, but I don't really have that granular control to say, I really want it just to support on this piece, but maybe this piece is going to be okay. So I feel that if you really want to do some really good 3D printing that has a lot of overhangs, you have to have a 3D printing software that you can go in and, well, not a 3D printing, but a 3D software to adjust that model, put your own pieces of support in there, and then print it out more successfully.
Does the 3D printing software that goes with this specific machine, does it have styles of supports that a generic Maya or other types of 3D print or 3D software, like it maybe wouldn't have that?
There's not really different styles. Honestly, it's just a primitive that's
comes to a point,
and the point is just so it's easier to break off. You could literally have it come to that top, but you want the point to be just enough to support it, so that as it prints something out from that support, it can stand on its own for a while until it connects with whatever the other piece of that model would be.
I saw some of your prints when you were showing them off as you were printing, and they almost seemed like full sheets. Like it almost looked like it was like encased in like rock. It was almost like a rock formation.
And depending on when you rip those off, it can actually break the model.
Right.
So I didn't spend a lot of time. I printed out Lucas from Stranger Things, a nice little PLA kit. If you're watching this PLA kit, you should send me some of those high-res models. No, but seriously, I printed out the Lucas Stranger Things model, and what happened is there was a lot of overhangs around his head, and there were certain areas where I did not want the supports to go, but I absolutely had to turn it on because there were places that you needed supports for. So I've been a little frustrated in using the default supports out of like Akira, and so I'm going to start investigating other platforms to be able to address that. So it's given me a little bit more pause when I decide to print something, because I know how it functions now when it prints out, and I don't really want to be breaking these things off, and I'm going to spend a lot of time sanding my models and doing a little bit when the printer does really well with overhangs and if I had the right support structure. So for instance, I had printed the legendary head medallion model for one of my friends.
Right.
Halo
Legendary.
Legendary, absolutely. And it had a lot of complex parts, but they had built-in supports. So the supports I used when I printed the model, it came out really well. And they weren't the supports that were part of the program. It was built in the system itself.
What if I called you out midstream to say, what if we had an unboxing right now of that model so that I could see it, even though it's packaged up?
Absolutely. Let me go get this model here.
Because Adam told me that this was already packaged up. It was ready to be sent off to our friend Sam Rose, who had commissioned Adam to create it. And I was like, I watched the stream of this. I was there at the first finding of the model. I got to be able to see this model before it goes out to the post.
Fair enough. So
here we go.
This model unboxing here is legendary head. So we're going to go into a few parts. So with this model, if you're familiar, maybe we should put that up, but what an elite head would be in the Halo lore is this alien that has these 4 jaws essentially that come out of its head. And so we've printed the skull of one of these elites. And so one of the more difficult and complex parts was those jaws. And if you watch the print, which you can watch on this channel, you'll notice that it actually messed up on one of the jaws. But the remainder of the skull worked together. So what I have is the jaw that actually printed correctly And then the other side, the one that completely failed, I actually had to do a reprint on. So you got two jaws, as you can see right here. There you go. Want to check those out?
Yeah.
Let's start one.
So these are both the jaws, right? That'll go on the side of him.
They will be in the jaws under there. So I'll put these jaws on our bed, and you'll be able to see at least the jaws on there. Transition to this guy here. You don't want to watch me unpackage this. So actually, this next part,
it's an unboxing. This is a rare opportunity of unboxing this package.
right? So this is one of my favorite parts that actually came out of it. It's the shield.
It's pretty sweet.
And I want you to hold that and like tell me that doesn't feel like I thought that was the most lamest one to actually deal with.
Sure.
But when I actually had it out, I was like, that feels solid and really cool.
It's pretty slick. It feels like what I would expect if you were to get like a cool action figure of a Halo thing, right? Like,
So
absolutely.
so behind that shield, or that shield would be the base layer.
Every time it's lighter. It's always lighter than I think it's supposed to be.
So the next part was technically the two machetes. Now, if you look at how the machetes are, I didn't do a lot of cleanup. I'm going to let my friend finish up the cleanup because he likes to do models and do things like that.
Let him clean up his stuff.
But I did have to. That's right, Sam. Clean up your own
Yeah,
shit.
we're not here to clean. Should I paint it? Should I paint them in the traditional Halo milieu for you? No.
So one of the challenges is that they give you the sword, and when it puts it on the bed, they put it straight up and down. And the reason for that is you want, and it's actually a machete if you really want to be precise about it. It's considered a machete. But what you have, it could be a sword. I don't know. Would you say it's a sword or a machete? What makes the difference between a machete and a sword? That's a good question.
I think like a machete has like a big fat end because you're like swinging it through.
There's some machete on there.
But I feel like that's just a stylized sword.
Okay, so stylized sword machete. It was named machete, by the way, when I downloaded it from the printer, so that's why I called it the machete.
Okay. Well,
But
they know that.
what you have to do is see how you see one side. You want the front side to look pretty. So the back side, and you probably can't see this too well, but it didn't print very well. Well, it did. It's going to take a little cleanup on this side. So here we go. We got.
So you're
two
saying,
swords.
was there a problem with that, getting those?
The
printed?
problem, good point, I'm getting all over the board here, is I had to put one on one side and print that and print it on the other side. Now if you watch the print of the sword, this is the biggest that I can get, at least as far as the width of something on this printer. I had to print it at a diagonal to get it to this size. This is like literally the biggest size I can get on my printer at this point if I were to print this model. So I scaled it up to about 200%.
You didn't print this flat?
I absolutely printed it flat.
Okay.
But from corner to corner, this
Oh,
fits
I
on
see.
that bed,
Okay.
corner to corner.
Nice.
So technically, right now, we almost have the legendary
Oh
face
man, I'm
here.
excited for the.
So there we
I'm
go.
glad you kept the prize for the end here.
You got to do that. So let's put this down on the bed here for a second. That's going to be the greatest.
Okay.
You can kind of see. So this will be where those two pieces will be.
When Sam wants to put this together as an actual thing that hangs on the wall as opposed to separate pieces,
Yeah.
what do? Do you just Gorilla Glue that thing together? Is that it?
I'm going to leave that to that man.
Oh, is that? I just thought maybe you had like tips for is gluing 3D printed resin or whatever the same as gluing any other plastic?
I would say so.
Yeah.
So I go overboard. I would probably use some sort of epoxy or something, but you know what? I'd be a little worried that it might deteriorate some of the materials.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to. You'd want to paint it first, and what you'd probably do is paint all the parts first. And the reason that you want to do that is then you can also put a coating on it that would like lock in that color and then glue it. Because if once you put it all together and then start to paint it, you couldn't get to the undersides. It wouldn't look that great.
I'm going to call out Sam right now, who's this is.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We're doing this for Sam. Sam is a wonderful artist that I feel like goes unappreciated in his time. I feel like if he wanted to paint this or do some kind of cool art on it, I would be very excited to see that.
Well, we will do our follow-up on this one
Yes.
to show the fully painted version of this. So
That I have nothing to do with, that I just sent out into the world to make somebody else do work for.
it's all right. That's what
Yeah.
it is. So here we have the skull. Now I want to
Nice.
say that the skull itself came out quite well. It's going to
Yes.
take a little bit of sanding to kind of work on. One thing that was really interesting is I left some of the supports on there. I could easily break some of these supports off, but what I found is it really sat well on that thing, and I'm going to let Sam make the decision if he wants to keep these supports on, because maybe it would help him when he actually glues it to the board, because it leaves a flat piece. But this is a good example for running as to how those supports might look where you would think you would need those on a particular device.
So anything that's like cylindrical, right,
Mhm.
is basically one of these supports.
One of the supports.
Would you say that it would be easy to break those off? I'm not saying do
Absolutely,
that.
I did break a few of them off already. That did just actually fell off, but
Sure.
these ones are like, so technically there was 2 more supports that you had had right here for the other 2 teeth that you saw. So we're gonna have to figure out how to glue those teeth on there. So epoxy or some sort of resin.
Does it lay flat on top of the swords?
This absolutely does not lay top on the swords. It does on the shield itself, but if I put this on the swords, there are some contact points that make it look
Okay.
kind of nice.
I feel like that's sweet.
so. It looks
And then where would the bottom jaws go?
So the jaws, which switch it.
I'll watch the stream.
You have to put the jaws into these 2 areas here, so they'd be similar to like right about this angle.
You would have to compare it to the picture of, because this is a seal that's used in the Halo video game to designate different levels of hardness or levels
difficulty
of
levels.
difficulty levels.
So
Yep.
technically, this is what you got,
Yeah.
kind of holding it there.
See, that's badass, man. Sam, get to fucking painting that, because that's sweet.
Absolutely. All right.
That's cool, man. And approximate time it took to print.
That
all
was
that stuff.
total time was, I did do the calculations, 24 hours on the print. Quite a bit of time.
Like, how much time? Fucking
Not
to get it to
honestly
print.
too much. I'd say like in total, the amount of time I spent working on this is probably 30 hours. Well, 5 of those working on the project, kind of getting
Okay.
it set up, and then the rest of it print time and just monitoring, get the stream going.
Sure.
The one thing I did do to just reduce that time, which I figured Sam can deal with it, is the millimeters of the layer size. So I did go the 0.2 millimeters. If I would have gone with 0.1 to give it a little bit finer on the layers, we were looking at almost 48 hours for this print, just for the skull alone. And I was like, you know what? I've not gone more than 24 hours. I've heard of some overheating of some of the pieces, and so I went this, and I'm actually pretty impressed with how it came out, because if you just sand this with enough time and effort, it's going to be pretty smooth. And then I've also found out some other tips on how to get this set up. There's these spray cans that allow your spray paint to adhere to plastic really well. So if you get those, spray that, it somewhat fills in those gaps. You have to just make sure you get a really nice even coat on there, and then you can go through right as that first layer dries with an epoxy, and it almost comes completely flat.
They have really easy airbrush kits for spray cans, right? That you
Nice.
hook it up to the spray can and then you can control it more. I can see that being a great use for that. And you were talking about the grit on it, or I guess the pattern
The
on
layer,
it, or
the
whatever.
layers.
Yeah, I feel like it looks cool when there's some of that. I feel like it makes it seem unique as opposed to just
Absolutely.
molded plastic, basically, which is what everything is when it's perfectly smooth, right?
Which I did print this.
Can you
gold.
can
I
you
brought-
tell it? Can you tell it to do even a wider
You
or
can.
lower?
Now, once you
Does
do,
that just look all cool and 8-bit?
it doesn't necessarily look 8-bit,
No.
but you use it for bigger prints.
Okay.
So that you can go bigger
Okay.
faster.
I
Is
can
the
see
idea.
that.
So this is just an example of a 1 millimeter print. If you look at the layers versus the layers here, you can somewhat tell the difference between
This
the
one's
layers.
finer.
That's a little bit finer.
Twice as fine?
It's so I have 0.2 on this one, 0.1 on the skull.
Yeah.
So
It does look sweet. How long did this take?
I think this is one of my first 24-hour prints.
24 hours. That's cool.
Glued it together with actually what was it, JB Weld, because I wanted the JB Weld these pieces, and if you know JB Weld, it is quality. It essentially is an epoxy that has metal in it that binds things together. They fix engines with this stuff. Like people have put it in their engine to fix it. So
That's cool.
it's a pretty cool stuff. Actually, I have JB Weld right here.
Oh, sponsored by fucking JB Weld. Make sure
Absolutely.
to go
I am
JB
not
Weld
supported
.com.
by JB Weld whatsoever.
JBWeld.com. Reach out to us, please.
Please support our channel. Support us. Oh God. All right.
This is a hashtag JB Weld. Yeah, we're just calling out future sponsors.
So I do want to bring into the picture a 3D model made by Ryan Higley himself here. This is a Hobbs from Calvin Hobbs, which doesn't have quite a bit of merchandise. If you know anything about the story, Bill Watterson, the artist, did not want to promote or have a lot of merchandise and really solely kind of what the purpose of his comics were. And we're not trying to go around and print a bunch of Hobbs and sell them or any what things, but as a personal fan, I know Ryan himself decided to model Hobbs when he was in college. And so when I pulled out the 3D printer, I asked him for a 3D print, and finally we kind of coaxed out of him a
This was
3D
the first one I thought of.
model print of Hobbs. So this took a lot of effort for some reason because I was
Watch
fucking up.
the other streams. Watch the streams. You can fast forward through them a little bit. Like
Absolutely, just jump around. It's
Yeah.
way long. But
Still.
you can understand kind of some of the efforts. We tried a few different filaments. That was one of the ones where I started with what's called this PET G. It's a combo between PLA and ABS, and kind of takes the best of both of those worlds and puts it into one. It didn't work out. I had orange in PET G. That was the reason, because the Hobbs is cool.
Sure,
But,
totally.
I ended up defaulting to white. I had to do some re-leveling of my bed, and now it came out pretty well for first print.
Exactly, and this was very little change from the original Maya file that I had. How many did I tell you? How many years old it was?
How many? Yeah, it was more than 10
I mean,
years
probably more than 10 years old for sure. And basically just saved him out and went, here's the file type that Adam told me, and gave it to him, and it went instantly in. I appreciate all the heavy lifting that you did, putting the supports on it and
Absolutely.
everything. So I'm excited to do the next version of this.
Absolutely, which we will be doing sooner than later. One of the things about the thing that the tail, and that I'll let you know that I ended up having to do, is in the original model, and I don't know if you can see this right now, the tail was actually just a little bit higher than where the feet were. So I had to push it just into the bed so that the tail was actually touching the bed, so that when I printed it, it actually would print the tail and the feet.
It's funny because when I gave you the model, I saved one out for you and sent it. And then I couldn't get the skeletal structure of the tail to work, so it was just exactly as it was 15 or whatever years ago. And then after I sent it to you, like an hour later, I was messing with it, and I was like, dang it, now I can pose the tail. And so I was going to have it go down more and sort of out and stuff. But then I think you were already messing with it and everything. So I was like, well, hopefully it's flat enough that he won't just be tail heavy. But I'm glad you thought of that.
I am going to throw this in there. So I also have 2 Hobbs feet.
You monster!
That are blue.
What are you doing? Oh, this is like your lucky rabbit's foot.
I don't know if you want your Hobbs feet, but
I mean, they're like little booties.
So I started with orange, went to blue, and ended up defaulting in yellow.
What happened to blue?
The blue, I don't know. I just was a little uncomfortable with the blue because I thought it was too dark, and I started messing up, and I thought
I was already messing up.
I was a little nervous. I could have probably printed with the blue, and so my original issues with the PET G filament is I think I needed to bump the temperature up a little bit because I'm printing on my PLA at 200 degrees with about a 60 degree bed temperature, which I really shouldn't even have to put a bed temperature on, but I've noticed that it adheres much better with a heated bed and some glue on it. So in any case, I'm really excited that we got Ryan and that. It's like pulling out this object in this that used to be this 3D world. There's something to be said about holding something that you modeled. I don't know, how does that feel?
Totally. I never thought I would see him again. You know, I never pictured him in this kind of action figure way, right? Like you picture him as a video that you're going to watch every time. And now I sort of picture him as more of a thing that you can hold. I feel like there's a different connection.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I definitely want to paint him. I feel like
look forward to seeing it. I felt white was when the blue messed up with the feet.
yeah.
I defaulted to white because I figured it might be.
I feel like I would always want white. Like I don't know in what situation because white it's so easy to add color to it
Mhm.
as opposed to trying to cover up blue with like white and then another color.
So I guess that depends on what you're looking to do. So for that other method I was explaining, where you might get a white adherence to the plastic, so you'd get a spray can that was white, didn't matter the filament type. When you'd spray it, it'd kind of fill in those layers and it would really create that smooth kind of outer part. It's like gessoing a canvas.
Okay.
So in a sense, and then now you
Yeah.
have the texture in the right way that you would want to paint over that.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I think covering that initial layer has been something I've done in all the prints. I use acrylics at this point, and you almost just want to put an entire layer over it. And if you use acrylics that are really opaque, they will cover that color no matter what color you're using quite well.
Does this texture soak up paint?
It doesn't
Does it
soak.
work like that?
It
No?
lays right on because it's not as porous. It's plastic.
It's like it feels porous, you know? Like
and it's because of the layers.
But it's plastic, right?
Absolutely.
So it can't just.
Well,
get
you
through.
technically could print a cup and drink out of the cup.
Sure.
So you're not gonna.
How if I just shove this in my mouth right now? Would that be okay?
You absolutely could. You can bite it.
This is fine.
It's great.
How toxic?
Oh, you're gonna die.
I knew it.
PLA is actually one of the ones that's environmentally friendly. So that could break the tail. I would laugh if you did that, but
Let's not take that joke too far.
no. But what PLA is, it's one of the most environmentally friendly. It doesn't degrade, so it's considered one of the better printing materials out
What's
there.
on the opposite scale? Some horrible material
There
that just
are.
like lives forever and is poisonous.
So, and I'm not going to say ABS is that material, but ABS.
Oh, calling you out. Fucking ABS, come at us.
ABS is the one.
Get out of my mentions.
ABS will print actually a little bit more solid. It's considered a little bit more has a more strength to it.
Okay.
But during the printing process, you want to do that in a well ventilated area because otherwise you're going to have these toxic fumes that kind of get released with that.
Right.
It is not biodegradable.
Yeah. Toxic fumes in a basement.
Yeah, probably not the
Not
best. But in generally any area, actually,
But better in what way? It's got to be better in some way, right?
in
It's
the
just
strength
stronger or
and
something.
the longevity of how it would work, you want to use.
Oh yeah, can I put him outside forever?
So good story is I printed a bat for one of my friends because he wanted to use the bat as a handle for one of his wood drawers that he was building. And so I actually got this wood filament that I've been trying to use, and I could not get that damn thing to work. I'm still working on that. You'll see a video with wood filament soon. So in any case, I printed it out with just normal black PLA, and stupidly, I put it in my dash of my car as I went to work in 100 and some degree
Dang.
temperature. But there's a good story to end to this. It did melt in the 100-degree temperature of my car, but I got into my car and was able to reform it while it was still a little bit bendable.
So it
And I
wasn't
just
like.
took it underneath and put it right in front of the air conditioner.
So how melty?
It was
Just like droopy?
just droopy, not
Okay.
fully.
That's
But
good.
if I would have left it,
What time did you find it?
So I put it in at about 8 o'clock a.m. is when
Sure.
I parked, and I found it at 11:35
Ooh,
that day. So
yeah,
it
man.
was like if I would have
That could have
left
been a puddle.
it would have been definitely messed up. So I'm glad I caught that.
But he took this deformed,
I bent it back.
sun-baked,
It worked.
floppy.
It almost,
bat.
I feel like it solidified it. It's almost like setting it. I don't know if that's. That convinced me.
It's like melting cheese, right, or something, over the top of something.
Super delicious. Are we gonna print something tonight, or are we?
I don't know. This stream has already gone on longer than I think we even said it was going to.
34
but
minutes.
Whatever. We could print something. What do you want to print?
You know what? Maybe we find something to print, and you're gonna just hear our voices if you see something to start print, and then you can just watch it print
Okay.
for the rest of the night. We appreciate your time, and watch out more Crayon conspiracy. Just kidding.
I love the like radio announcer Adam that comes in. He thinks that it needs to have an official ending for this.
I have a broadcasting degree.
Yeah,
I was going to
your
be on the
broadcasting degree
radio
is showing.
a little bit. I was on a radio station for
That's true.
for
I
what?
did. Yep.
3.5 years.
Yep.
On the radio.
I know.
Um,
What type of music did you
It
DJ?
was generally like a hip hop station.
Hip hop station.
This is when
In what
CDs
year?
This is 2003.
What was the banger that you were playing all the fucking time that
shit.
all the ladies were calling about? And one, what was your DJ name?
The DJ name was DOA.
Was it?
It was DOA because I had the night shift. My shift started at midnight to 4 a.m. And so I always had the party goers come calling me up.
That's
I mean,
cool.
At that time period, I mean, I don't listen to as much as the hip hop, but there was a lot of even older hip hop than it was 2003 at that time. I remember R. Kelly was huge.
R. Kelly. I could see
Yeah,
that.
absolutely a lot of R. Kelly at that point.
So I was trying to think what was popular when that was like our senior year in college, right?
Yeah, senior and a little bit before that. So, but it was a variety, not as much variety, but there was definitely a lot of hip hop. But I remember doing quite a bit of requests at night. Just
Oh,
because of the
okay.
drunk people.
Yeah. What kind of crazy drunk stories?
There was always some guy that would call me up and have me do some sort of music for his girlfriend because he was getting in a fight. I don't know. And I would always like dedicate it to his girlfriend, but it was like a regular show. I had a couple call-ins that were pretty regulars, so we kind of made it into our own little show. And I always edit it down, make some funny things.
Did students ever get fired?
From that job, yeah, hell yeah. If they sucked or didn't show up or
Yeah, I mean,
Did
besides just not showing up. Like there were people who
Because of
showed
what
up
they
and
said?
fucked up.
I don't remember it in my
Yeah.
shifts, but I'm sure it
That happened. You're like, they're 19-year-olds. I bet it happened.
But at the time, we were in. This is actually pretty impressive. Within the nation, we're in the top 10 of college radio stations, and actually
At that time?
and then to this day, we are still in the top echelon of college radio stations. That's Rev 89. If you haven't heard of Rev 89, Rev 89. It's a revolution. Rev 89. Hire me.
Another sponsor shout out. Non-sponsor shout out. Still plays the exact same
It's been
type
changed
of
a
music.
little bit. It almost, I think they play some of the same music from that time period. They kind of reimagine themselves a little bit. So
I'm gonna put out a controversial statement.
okay.
I liked Rev 89 back when it was more of a alternative rock station when we were in high school.
It was.
And then when your shitty college cohort came in, they were like, fuck this. I want to get on top 10 lists.
We were going.
Let's change it away from alternative rock that Brian liked.
The thing is,
It's
it
one of the
wasn't about
reasons
you.
I moved away.
You weren't our demographic. You see, we were going for
Well, cool. I still can complain about it.
You can't. I'll ask them to change it. We play a lot of U2 nowadays.
Exactly. Really?
We do. And why is that?
How is that?
You know why. Rev 89. Why you play U2 inside joke?
Man, these are inside jokes. I don't get it.
I know you don't. Alright, well, I don't know. Let's get into the
Yeah.
3D print world. I'm going to stop the stream for a bit.
Cool.